Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my review of the Jordan Why Not 0.4. So this shoe is going for 130 bucks. The Phantasm colorway I believe is going to release soon, and this colorway is going for 150 bucks, but retail for the normal colorways is going for 130 bucks. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But let's get it started right away with the Tracciones. And I have one word for it, and I would say it's actually two words. It's a little inconsistent. It wasn't inconsistent to the point where it was like terrible, but like when I was doing a hard lateral movement, I would feel my foot slide a little bit, you know, and that slide wasn't terrible. I wasn't like slipping out like some shoes I've been testing, but more often than not on those hard lateral movements, I would slide out a little bit. So just watch out for that. As far as the durability goes, the durability is absolutely horrendous. It's terrible. And do not play with this shoe outdoors. Like the nubs here where the highway area is, where the ball of my foot is pretty much gone. So yeah, don't play with these outdoors. But to be honest, besides on hard lateral movements, the stop was good. You know, I didn't really have to worry about like if I was doing like a step back, like a crossover, and it wasn't like super hard, I could pretty much reliably just not worry about the traction. But if I was doing a hard movement, that's when I kind of felt a little uneasy. So just be careful on that. It also, of course, depends on your play style. So I definitely do think the Why Not 0.4 could have been a little bit better, but the traction is not that bad. Alright, as far as the heel to toe transition goes, it's awesome. You know, since the 2, the 1 was terrible. It was super clunky and felt bulky and very boot-like. But since the 2, the 3, and now the 4, it's had very, very good heel to toe transition. And I don't know what it is about Russell Westbrook's signature shoe line, but like it's been getting a lot lighter, and it's been getting way more aerodynamic, and it's been getting very, very good heel to toe transition, you know. So here in the heel, you have a very nice curved shape. It reminds me of the 2 and the 3. Here in the forefoot, you have a very curved shape as well, and you have a good amount of forefoot flex. Of course, the outsole is decoupled, but I didn't really notice anything too much with this decoupling. Sometimes it bothers me, but in this shoe, it didn't really bother me. It's just a plastic midfoot shank plate here. So when you're running down the court, you really don't have to worry about the shoe feeling boot-like or clunky at all. Alright, moving on to the cushioning setup, and that's one of my favorite parts about this shoe. So I really didn't think the double stack zoom would like do anything as far as like make the zoom unit more bouncy, but this forefoot zoom unit is insanely bouncy, right? So of course, it is a smaller zoom unit as compared to the Why Not 0.3. It's the exact same unit that we've seen in the Nike PG3, but in the Why Not 0.4, it's double stacked. It feels like it's top loaded, and it's super easy to feel. You feel it right away, and you feel a lot of compression and bounce here in the forefoot. And I believe that has something to do with the double stacking. You know, it feels awesome. It just kind of sucks because it's a pretty small surface area. Imagine like a double stack like Zoom turbo unit here in the forefoot. That would be awesome, right? But nonetheless, it still felt great. Here in the heel, it's okay. You know, there is a little bit of compression, especially comparing it to like Nike's Phylon midsoles, but it's still not that nice. I would say impact protection on heel strikes wasn't the best. It kind of hurt my heel a little bit, but it is slightly on the thicker side. And also the court feel isn't the best. Like here in the heel, you definitely feel a little bit higher, and then you feel lower to the ground here in the forefoot. So the offset feels pretty significant. And that also helps to kind of like keep you on your toes, and when you're running down the court, it kind of feels a little bit better, you know, kind of like a running shoe. So overall, the cushioning setup was pretty damn nice. I really like this zoom unit here in the forefoot. It's one of my favorite zoom units in this shape. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, everything else was pretty average. Here in the heel, it was okay. Court feel wasn't the best. It's not horrible like the LeBrons, but I just wish it was a little bit lower, because that's just how I prefer it. Alright, moving on to the materials. So the material quality in this shoe, even though this is like a nicer colorway, this colorway, like I mentioned before, is 150 bucks, is not the best. You know, they're using like synthetic suede materials, a lot of synthetic materials actually, synthetic suede. Here in the toe box, we have this weird material as well. And you know, the quality isn't nice, but it's super thin. Like, I cannot believe how thin it is. It gets very, very soft. It conforms to your foot very well. There's really no breaking in either. And like, I had no pinching or anything. And here, moving on to the tongue, we have an oversized tongue with a good amount of padding. In this colorway, we got some carpet on the tongue, which is kind of weird, but I do like the padding in the tongue. And here in the ankle area, I believe it's just this colorway, but you got a little bit of a quilted material. It feels great. It has a good amount of padding, especially in the back of the Achilles. So that feels nice as well. So to be honest, on foot, it felt awesome. You really don't have to worry about the materials at all. It's just, it feels a little cheap in hand is all. All right, moving on to the fit. Go true to size and you should be good to go. I would say there's just a little bit of length here, but I would say it doesn't justify going down half a size. If you went down half a size, I feel like it would be a little too short. So true to size, most people should be okay with that. Here in the toe box, it is quite snug and the material doesn't stretch out all too much. So the fit that you start with is probably the fit that you're gonna stay with. And the here for width, I would say it's around normal to slightly narrow. So for me, it's a great fit. I love the fit actually. And it's a super easy shoe to put on. You know, you have a very high heel tab and the tongue opens up a lot. You just slide your foot in very easily, tighten up the laces and you're good to go. All right, moving on to support and lockdown. I had absolutely zero issues with lateral containment. As you guys can see, where it says why not 0.4 collection, you know, there is a little bit of a plastic lateral counter here. It's more in the midfoot, but it kind of extends all the way here into the forefoot slightly. And the material is pretty damn supportive. And also here in the forefoot, you have this like strap that pretty much acts like an eyelet. You know, the laces go through it. So you're good here in the forefoot and in the midfoot. Here in the heel, the Phylon midsole comes up quite a bit, acting as a sidewall. And you have an internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment is good. As far as lateral stability goes though, it doesn't feel unstable, but it doesn't feel as stable as a lot of the other shoes that I've been playing, you know what I'm saying? Like for example, I just took these shoes from behind me, but if you look at the GH2, in the Gordon Hayward signature shoe, you guys can see that it's quite a bit wider than the Why Not 0.4, as you guys can see. And like the Why Not 0.4 lacks like an outrigger. You know, here in the GH2, you can see the outrigger from the outsole right here. And same thing with the Curry 8. You guys see how much wider that is? And also, like I mentioned before, the Why Not 0.4 doesn't have the best court feel. You're pretty high up off the ground. For me personally, it didn't feel like super unstable, kind of like the LeBrons. But then like, it didn't feel as stable as like the Curry 8 or the GH2. You know what I'm saying? Because these have lower cushioning setups. You're lower to the ground and they have wider bases. So personally for me, I didn't really mind it all too much. It was just a little uncomfortable. Like it was kind of in the back of my mind when I was playing with it. And if you have any issues with your ankles, I would probably stay away from this shoe because it's not the most stable shoe for lateral stability. And of course it is a low cut, so you're not really gonna get any ankle support. So just watch out for that. But the overall support and lockdown was good. Heel was locked down and all that. And since the fit was good, and when I tightened the laces, the entire fit here in the shoe for my foot felt very good and locked down. All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, the Why Not 0.4 was the lightest shoe in his entire line. Yeah, so 11.78 ounces. I cannot believe how much weight they shed off, especially from the Why Not 0.1. Actually, all right, I got the 0.1s. These are like 14.57 ounces. So they shed off a lot of weight from the ones. So good job to Jordan Brand for doing that. And this shoe feels extremely light. There's not a whole lot of padding. I mean, there's a good amount of padding here in the tongue, but it doesn't make the shoe feel like super bulky. You have a little bit of padding here in the ankle area, which feels good, but then the overall material here in the toe box and here in the midfoot is super thin and minimal. And also, to be honest, it like doesn't feel super bulky at all here in the heel for some reason. So this shoe felt pretty well balanced as far as weight distribution goes for this shoe. It didn't feel like bottom heavy or like bulky here in the materials or anything. It actually felt lightweight. And I really didn't have to worry about the shoe when I was playing in it, I guess, besides kind of the lateral stability. So that felt great. All right, moving on to the ventilation. This shoe's hot. There's not a whole lot of ventilation through the synthetic panels and the synthetic materials. And the tongue is, for this colorway, it's a carpet. So yeah, this shoe is pretty damn hot. So just watch out for that. As far as the aesthetics go, I don't know, guys. I'm not a huge fan of the aesthetics. I do like the family colorway though. The black, gold, and white colorway that came out recently. That one looks pretty sick. So I guess colorways make or break the shoe, like Nightwing says. But I don't know. This colorway I'm not a huge fan of, and I guess like the overall silhouette I'm not a huge fan of either. Like I said in the Westbrook One Take 2 video, I like the Westbrook One Take 2. I feel like that should have been the design of his signature shoe. Alright, so wrapping things up, the Why Not 0.4 for 130 bucks. So I guess the 130 bucks is like mid-tier price. So it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive. If you're looking for something with like good quality, you're not gonna get it here, like I said, because the material quality isn't the best. But the Why Not 0.4 is a solid performer, but I don't know if it's going to be in my rotation that often. I mean, like my favorite part about the shoe is the zoom in. I really like the zoom unit here in the forefoot. It feels super bouncy and nice, but then the traction was a little inconsistent. The cushion also was a little high up off the ground, especially here in the heel. And then it wasn't a deal breaker or anything. Like I didn't roll my ankle, but you know, it was just always kind of like in the back of my mind. It felt a little bit unstable, especially comparing it to like the other shoes that I've been playing. So, but other than those things, and I don't think they were like terrible things, you know, they were just like minor things that I didn't like about the shoe. It's really great. So yeah, the Why Not 0.4, solid choice. It's just, in my opinion, it's not the best choice. So yeah, that about concludes my review. Again, if you guys want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.